It's January 3rd, 2022. Um, I'm I have a compilation of things that I saw this morning. One, I caught an episode of Dragnet, which I don't have regular access to. It's just whatever they air on the television with the regular remote on regular service. Um, this particular episode was called The Masked Bandits, and it's S9E5, and today's January 3rd, 2022. It aired on something called Me TV, METV. Um, it says four armed bandits, always disguised in red masks, hold up six cocktail lounges in as many weeks. Again, I don't know if this is Order 66. Just saying, Star Wars being whatever it is in magic escalators. It said that it originally aired on 2/15/1967. Not sure what that correlates to. But I watched this Dragnet episode. It's an older woman married to a younger man. And when I look at the Dragnet, it says Los Angeles. If I put a T at the end of Los, it becomes Lost Angels. And then it looks like juvenile. Now, I learned by this remote process, parlare italiano e su e giù, SUJU. So, Ju meaning the ground, and su meaning the air for altitude of this conversation. There was child crimes at the juvenile, and then there's this adult. Now, I've learned that there's a pairing of three for some form of Air Force. They use the F, they use the SU, and they use the J symbol to represent different burrada. LM. And again, it goes, excuse me? Right, one of those. So, there's that. And then there's another level of aviation, lesser known and talked about, at something called a B, and then they reference it as stealth. So like different category, again, so the difference between Air Force and AERO in aerodynamics, because I know there's always levels and tiers of TIERS, of whatever, in cascading effects and this magical Stargate that I am a part of. So there's that. Then I was watching See the BS this morning, and they have two commercials on from Progressive Insurance, which I thought, really someone speaking from the heart to the heart in Clean Up on Aisle 7 for where my feet are in the Citadel every day. And I am just like, oh, hello, God. God's calling. Yeah, I noticed. And then it says, then I was watching Today in New York, and I taped the episode. Now, interestingly enough, Cardinal Timothy Dolan is in the Vatican for the passing of Emeritus Pope Benedict XVI. Now, He is there. They aired this morning on this Channel 4, and I went back to review it. It looks like he's doing what I'm doing with like a cell phone of sorts, and he had his voice very low because he was in public, and he was educating whomever he was recording for about how the relationship between the Pope and Mary was so important. Like he thought very highly of Mary. I thought that that was really, really important. I went back to use it as a reference, and it's gone. They replaced it with some soccer guy named Pele, Pele. I'm like, what is that about? I'm like, that's not why I taped the. And why are they doing chop and splice and swaps? So anyhow, um, so that happens. Now I can't even reference it because I don't know how to follow him to learn about his trip and anything about like the Pope or Vatican to even like pursue and like be interested in. I don't even have access to that level of scholarly info or announcements or historical reference while I'm here in the Citadel, that they labeled New York City. So and my grandfather, he just, whenever he said the word Citadella, I mean, it was like a harp playing in my ear. He did not speak like Lewis. Lewis is very American. My grandfather was like the angels of elsewhere. Just, I mean, he had an accent and he had a strength about him that I liked, that when I woke up in this place, frightened for when I went to sleep, the visions that the good Lord gave me, and I would wake up in this body, in this third dimension, and be frightened as a child of what the future was and what was to come with these cereal boxes with buttons, but not buttons like in Nona's sewing box, square buttons, which frightened me because they were going to break the world with it. And it was going to be a really, really horrible place to live once these cereal boxes arrived. I used to draw pictures of the dreams that I would have, and I left them with whoever was watching me, either my grandfather or with my aunt, since they split the time for who got to spend time with me, because my grandfather made me feel safe. Lewis made me feel nervous. And so anyhow, so there's that this morning. So this S9E5, I caught it. It's 24 minutes and 6 seconds. I'm going to fast forward through some of it again. There might be pertinence in it, but I'm not quite sure. I double layered my jacket at the moment because I have no idea what this is. I mean, this is 1967. I arrived in 78. I mean, does this have to do with the Declaration of Independence in the 1776? Because it's an inverted 67. I mean, like, talk about if you tell the story wrong, the consequences that might be or not be, to be or not to be. I'm not quite sure.
There? No, clean as far as we know.
You got the address, Jack?
Oh, go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the beginning this is where I tuned in.
One more thing I remember.
What's that?
They didn't leave a tip.
We figured there was a chance the suspect, known only as Larry, could have been in trouble before. If so, the officers at Juvenile Division might be able to help us again.
Now again, the first two letters in Italian means the down. The children that are here, or already here, that may be in trouble because of whatever else is already arriving or in anticipation of arrival and really doesn't want to help them. There's got to be a Sue somewhere. I just don't know how to find a Sue. I'm just stuck in this JU situation. And in this episode, they're alerting me that some people are wearing red masks. And I have no idea how to tell the difference.
1:33 p.m. We check back with Officer Jack Edwards. Hi, Jack. Ready? Okay.
Also caught that Shiloh Shepherd episode last night on Inside Edition, that reference that I said, I thought it was a German Shepherd. But anyhow, so that was interesting. But the story after that was about a purse without a shoulder strap, just a clutch. And in the clutch, somebody had buried it almost like a time capsule. She had cards, and they mentioned that it was at the height of the Cold War, but that was in the 1950s, late 50s, early 60s, as a reference and an anchor of reality. I'm like, I only heard about the Cold War in the 80s, but they really didn't say it. They said it was a thing, but didn't really make much sense. They didn't really talk on it in a way that made, it was like chipping an ice block. I mean, it's such a small little fractal of information, but no elaboration. So, and that was in the mid 80s to late 80s. I had no idea that the height of this war was in the 50s, 60s, and they didn't give any history or any directional as to what if it's a reference. Like, if I'm driving a car, I look for reference marks. Like, oh, there's the double arches, there's McDonald's in the yellow M. Oh, there's Burger King in whatever their symbol is and colors. Oh, there's the gas station, one of many that you can stop at to fuel your vehicle, and they all have their colors and symbols. There's landmarks.
Keeping you busy?
All the time.
We're looking for a kid, first name Larry, no last name. Chance you might have handled him.
I might have handled 1,000 Larrys. Yeah, we know, Jack. We got something that might help.
What's that?
He might be married to an older woman. Does that mean anything to you?
Now, here's a problem about 1975. Inside this 1976 already knew about it. The 1975 problem that they blacksmithed into my reality that I never wanted after the first piece of garbage that they stuck to my shoe, being whatever that was, they then send me on missions or operations that they know about. And they put me in a room or on a rooftop with something they're calling a Mark and Ingalls. It doesn't look like it flies at a level B of stealth at all. It is the wrong Mark. It is the wrong type of Ingalls reference at aerospace, for which I'm a Stargate. And there were 2 cups of tea that I rather preferred being amongst, as opposed to this falsified call whatever in the New York area, along with this Tia Frio problem. But yet, for some reason, this is just like a lingering and perpetual problem. Now, here's another interesting fact. We go to visit Steve, CV, one of the Gunders. He got in a car accident and now he's in a hospital and he can't walk and he'll be there for a while. So we go to visit him. It's the hospital is where I used to live, which would have been really simple for me to go visit him and keep him company. But now I can't because I don't have my car. Tia Frio's using it regularly, and I'm with Linda and Lou. So we decide to go out to visit him. And then we go into Patchogue for something to eat on our way home, where I used to live before I moved back here. And while we were there, we stopped at something called the Village Idiot Pub, VIP. VIP for me normally means very important person, but in this instance, in this Patchogue, it became a twist on that, being the Village Idiot Pub. So Linda sits in the corner booth, right underneath a sticker, just so Ace of Base in the 1990s, I saw the sign. Linda sits right under the sticker, just looks natural. I mean, there were so many televisions on the wall. If there were like internet surfers on like the tube, and they were able to open the tube and just do double like surveillance through the television without needing the camera, that kind of level. If and only if somebody was at that level and actually cared, they would have saw where I sat with the only set of silverware on the table. By accident, it just was where I gravitated to and sat, but it was the only place setting at that table was for me. Linda sat under the sign that said Steve and Linda's Corner. Lou sat wherever he sat, and then my son sat between my mother and I. And there I am with the only set of silverware, for which my father noticed and was like, "Why do you have the only set of silverware?" He's like, "You ordered a wrap." I go, "Yeah, I know. It's a wrap, but I get the utility and the utensils." I said, "Just one of those things." I was like, "You'll have to ask the waitress for your own."
Yeah? Yeah, sure. Larry Hubert. Sure, we've handled him before. Here's his package. County camp graduate. Kind of a weird setup, Joe. Larry's 17. Edna, that's the wife. Gotta be at least 10, 12 years older than him.
Anything on her?
No, clean as far as we know.
Got the address, Jack?
Yeah, 8854 Wilson. Thanks a lot, Jack. What's Hubert up to now?
211.
Did he say Will's son? Because I'm pretty sure that there's a Will's son somewhere in across the pond. And somebody gets the kid's schedule before they're born. They have somebody working at that level. And then when they do this like security work for the area, they tend to plan out when and how security is going to, where like staging area almost for the world's stage and theater.
We figure 3 adults in the gang.
Kid'll never learn, I guess. Well, it might help if we do one thing. What's that? Stick to people his own age. 2:15 p.m.
Now, interestingly enough, on the 215, this particular car, there was somebody from Little Neck. He also grew up in a Glen. Mine was Glen Way. His was Glen something else. He drove this car. He went to something called a St. Mary's. And he gave me a chain and a locket necklace when we were dating back in high school, when I had to go to St. John's, and he was the one that I did uniform inspections with, because I know that I deem him respectable. His father worked for some pharmaceutical company.
The Wilton Street address was in an older section of the city. It was neat and well kept, like the Cadillac parked at the curb. Without a warrant, we couldn't shake down the car. We would have to question Larry Hubert first, try to get his permission.
You Larry Hubert?
Yeah?
Police officers, all right if we come in?
You juvie cops?
Robbery division.
Oh, where's Edwards? I don't know you guys.
Well, maybe it's time you did, son.
Edward, what an interesting name that they would put on this particular. It's real, but the names have been changed for the innocent. But yet the innocent is still in the field and still being harmed by several different methods.
Then why don't you come right in? Well, how come Edwards isn't with you? I give him all my business.
We're living in the age of specialization, son.
You own that Cadillac parked outside?
Well, yeah, just...
Spatialization. That's an interesting word I never hear any of the humans in my house represent and speak, ever.
Stay put, keep your hands out of your pockets.
Yeah, that's my car. Neat, isn't it? You know, I fixed that thing up myself. What are you guys looking for?
Some answers.
Hey, is it all right if I put a shirt on? I'm kind of cold.
Where is it?
In the bedroom.
We'll both go.
Sure.
I'll check the kitchen.
There's several layers in this episode. There's now something that's labeled 76 and a 75 that's now become messy and problems that I never wanted, never planned for, never anticipated, but somebody else did. Because somebody wanted this to occur this way. I don't know who. And then there's the references to what I would refer to as a 79. But again, I'm just 78 on this.
Freeze. All right, now you just stand still and keep those hands in plain sight where I can see them, Bill. Get your hands behind your back. Now suppose you just sit down in the end of the bed.
I'll check it through CII.
Right. All right, son, you're under arrest. It's my duty to inform you of your constitutional rights. You have the right to remain silent. Any statement you make may be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to the presence of an attorney. If you desire an attorney and cannot afford one will be appointed before any question. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I've heard it before.
Do you understand it?
Okay, I understand it.
Where'd you get the gun?
A friend gave it to me.
What friend?
Just a guy. He borrows my car once in a while, and he gave it to me to pay for using the car.
Just so we are clear, there was that boy from high school that had that cherry red car and that dad that worked at pharmaceutical. He did have a friend by the name of Brady. Different than my friend Brady, but he had his own friend Brady, also named John. Well, I was going to St. John. He was hanging out with St. Michael.
Car, that's all.
What's his name?
Why should I freak out?
I can give you a couple of reasons. You're on probation, possession of a deadly weapon. Is that enough?
It was a gift.
You ever pointed at anybody?
I told you the guy gave it to me for using the car.
Tell me so I believe it.
Guy's name was Jones.
You want to try for Smith or Brown? I want to...
Jones! Oh, you mean like my new quarterback that they got going on at NFL in New York on the Giants side? Not on Bill's side. Not Bill Gannon. But he's playing around QB on the 8 on Giants turf. I just want to make sure I've got the players all set in my head.
I want it straight, son.
I'm leveling with you. Can I help it if the guy's name is Jones? I met him at work.
Where's that?
Burbank, Phillips Industries. They make that plastic...
Phillips Industries. Oh, I really hope that, like, Jones and Brady don't get into a quarterback fight, because one's wearing a 12 and the other one's wearing an 8, and I know there's probably about nobody who understands what this means.
Plastic tile stuff, you know, that they glue on counters.
This Jones, he worked there too, does he?
Yeah, then he quit.
What'd you do, retire?
No, I'm sick today.
Oh, sure you are.
Who are you?
We're police officers, ma'am.
What are you doing here?
Are you Amy Hubert?
Mrs. Hubert,
Is
yes.
this your husband?
Yes, did you have to put those handcuffs on him?
He has a gun, ma'am. It's hot, Joe. 1 of 7 taken in a 459 from a sporting goods store last...
1 of 7. Really? Clean up on aisle 7. Excuse me.
last month.
Before or after the red mask holdups?
Before.
All right, son, tell me where you got that gun.
What's this about a red
She
mask?
doesn't know anything.
6 cocktail lounges were held up, all by 4 men wearing red masks. They drove a car like Larry's, and Larry has a gun.
What'd he tell you?
Back out of this, Edna, will you? She doesn't know anything, honest.
Sergeant?
Edna.
Sergeant?
Yes, ma'am.
Could I talk to you alone a minute?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want Larry to hear this. He doesn't like his wife to interfere.
I understand, ma'am.
I don't think Larry did this. Whatever you said he did.
We have to check it out, ma'am.
But even if he did, it's not his fault, you know. I'm the one should be arrested.
How's that?
Well, I work nights. I'm cashier in a coffee shop. And there's nobody.
Nobody?
Well, there's nobody to look after him while I'm out.
Well, now it looks to me like he can take care of himself.
But he's only a boy.
Well, I guess you know that better than I do, ma'am.
You disapprove of me, don't you?
Or should I?
You're like everybody else.
How's that?
I can hear him when I come home. Whispering and pointing fingers and laughing behind my back.
On that, let's go to that Progressive commercial. There was 2 of them. One was in an elevator, and the other one was a first-time homeowner or home buyer and how he was treating his trash cans. He really did a number on cleaning up the trash. And he even put his name and phone number on the front of the trash cans and then are out there cleaning them. First-time home buyers being what they are. But luckily there's a coach on the field, the Progressive person. And the interaction just offsets this so perfectly. This is CBS Mornings and it's E2.
Wait.
He's cleaning the trash cans.
Cool, why? Meeting a new young homeowner for the first time is a unique challenge.
So you think you can help?
I can try. Hey, what you doing?
Just cleaning my trash cans.
Wow. It's important to build trust. So you put your address and phone number on here.
Well, you can never be too safe.
With trash?
Progressive can't protect you from becoming your parents, but we can protect your home and auto when you bundle with us.
Oh, look at the hedges, they're a
No
mess.
one's looking at the hedges.
The countdown to save it.
Right, I have to think like an evidence locker and how are they using the past files, thinking that they've got some thread of reality where they're actually going to pursue and harm and hunt the innocent.
You think it's funny. I'm not ashamed. Why shouldn't I have what everybody else has got? A little happiness. It's all I want.
Yes, ma'am.
He's better off with me, you know. With a nice home. It's clean. Nice things. He wouldn't have it if it wasn't for me.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess you think all he sees in me is somebody to pay the bills.
No, ma'am.
I'm only 29. Well, I'm not so old. Maybe I'm not so pretty, but... Well, he could have had his pick, I know that. They make it easy for him.
Who's that, ma'am?
Birds, he calls them. The teenage girls. You know, short skirts and showing everything. Sergeant,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know where his parents are. Does that make a difference?
Well, I wouldn't know, ma'am.
Larry won't let me contact them. You know what I think?
What's that?
I think he's ashamed. They're poor people, you know. They're, well, not used to nice things.
I see.
That makes me his guardian, doesn't it? I mean, being his wife.
No, I doubt that, ma'am. But as his wife, it's my duty to inform you of your constitutional rights. Now, both you and Larry have the right to remain silent. Any statements you make may be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to the presence of an attorney. If you desire an attorney and can't afford one, one will be appointed before any questioning. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes.
Now I get we're in some kind of colony where there was at some point a lot of biscuit in like creme de la creme. But the tide's been turning, and I'm still neither of what it is now or what it was then. So this becomes precarious, and then what do I identify as?
Find in the closet, Joe.
Sergeant, did you mean what you said before?
What's that, ma'am?
About if I couldn't afford an attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
I guess maybe we need one.
Get the new MeTV Mall.
Georgia Juvenile with the suspect. Although we had decided not to detain Mrs. Hubert, she insisted on coming anyway. Mrs. Hubert called the public defender's office to arrange for an attorney. Bill and I took the subject to the juvenile squad room. We turned Hubert over to Jack Edwards to be booked under Section 602 of the Welfare and Institutions Code for 211 PC, robbery. Since further interrogation of Larry Hubert would have to await the arrival of an attorney, we decided to check out the one lead he had given us. Without a first name on Jones, we couldn't run it through R&I, but we figured that Phillips Industries, the place Hubert claimed he met Jones, would be the best place to check it out. 4:15 p.m. Because of the outbound commuter traffic, it took us 20 minutes to get to Burbank. Phillips Industries was a medium-sized combination plant and showroom operation. The personnel manager, Mr. Bernard Ashton, told us they employed about 100 people. He didn't remember either Hubert or Jones.
We get a lot of trenches, you know. They think the grass is always greener down the street. Most of our people have been with us 10, 12 years, though. Good, solid people.
Yes, sir.
Larry...
10 or 12 years. Boy, at the men department, that must be just so confusing to only like 3 or 4 of you.
Larry Hubert, good, solid lad. It's a shame, though.
Well, how's that?
He missed 4 or 5 days' work last month. Keeps that up, I'll have to let him go.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that Jones fella, what's his first name?
We don't know, sir. We'd like you to tell us.
I got 3 here. Jones, Robert M. He's been with us for 8 years. Jones, James A. A little short fella, he does finishing work. Has a way about him, you know, he jokes a lot. Jones, Donald R. Well, that's interesting.
What's that?
Well, this fellow left us 5 or 6 weeks ago. Now, that's real funny.
What's that, sir?
His closing check. He never came back to get it.
With Jones' address provided by Ashton, we arranged for the nearest black and white unit to try and pick him up immediately. The black and white unit reported that Jones was not at home. We asked that another robbery division unit stake out the apartment house while we returned to PAB to check Jones through R&I. We ran the name Donald R. Jones through R&I. He had done time at San Quentin for armed robbery. He was out on parole. He had not checked with Al Tucker, his parole officer, for 6 weeks. It looked like he had gone back to his old habits. With a stakeout on Jones' apartment, we decided to return to Georgia Juvenile. 6:12 p.m.
This is my attorney, Mr. Auerbach.
How do you do, sir? It's Bill Gannon.
Howard.
Jill Friday.
I've talked to the boy. Do you want to fill me in?
We're holding him under WIC 602 211 PC, robbery.
On what grounds?
Gang always wore full-face plastic red masks. He had one. He was also in possession of a stolen gun.
They can't keep him in jail, can they? A 17-year-old boy?
That's the best thing he's got going for him, Mrs. Hubert.
What's that?
His age being 17. You see, juvenile law in California is based on a concept of correction and rehabilitation, not punishment. I've talked to him. He knows he can remain silent. But after a hearing, it could influence the judge to declare Larry unfit as a juvenile and remand him for trial as an adult. The judge might have a lot in favor of that argument. Larry has a record. He's on probation. He's married. He's functioning as an adult. I think the police would have to come up with more evidence to convict him for armed robbery, but if they've got what Gannon here says they've got, there's a good chance they could put Larry away for a while right now. Now, Larry were to make a clean breast of it. The judge might view that as an indication of repentance. It could make it easier on him. That's just my opinion, you understand?
You want Larry to confess? Is that what you want?
No, that's up to Larry. I told him what I'm telling you. He wanted to know what you thought.
What'd you tell him?
Well, I just told you. If he's innocent, he has nothing to hide. And if he's guilty, don't advise him to admit his guilt. It's to his benefit to do so.
It's not fair, Mr. Auerbach. It's not fair at all.
Mrs. Hubert, I just explained the way the law works.
It really doesn't make any difference, does it? Whether he confesses or not.
How's that, ma'am?
They'll take him away from me. I lose either way, don't I?
"6:43 p.m. Acting on the advice of his attorney, Larry Hubert made a full confession. He implicated Donald Jones as the leader and named 2 other accomplices. We put out an APB to have them picked up. Under California law, the confession of an accomplice without corroboration is never sufficient to convict. The red masks Hubert and the others wore prevented positive identification by their victims. Unless they all confessed, we felt we didn't have enough to take to court. 7:20 p.m. We returned to Jones' apartment house and checked in with the team on stakeout, Chetwood and Hamlet. They had nothing to report, no sign of the suspect. They drove around to the rear of the building to relieve the team on stakeout in the alley.
We're rolling out.
Are you ready to roll out?
Police officer, stand still. Open that box. You're a dead man. Put it down. Now. Keep those hands out of your pockets, lady.
Would somebody tell me what this is all
You
about?
just stay quiet.
You're under arrest.
For what? Illegal parking?
Just shut up and listen, both of you.
It's my duty to advise you of your constitutional rights. You have the right to remain silent, and any statement you make may be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to the presence of an attorney. If you desire an attorney and can't afford one, one will be appointed before any questioning.
Yeah, you finished?
Do you understand that, Jones?
Yeah.
You?
She understands it.
Do you?
Yes.
These belong to you, lady.
She's a collector.
Give me the case. I didn't know what was in it.
Why'd you carry it?
It was pretty.
Real talent, huh? All body, no brain. Good thing for you, I'm slow.
Is that right?
Little faster, you'd know how dead feels.
Well, now, what else would you like to tell us?
That's it, cop. You heard it from me.
Hang on to him. We'll shake the apartment.
What are you looking for, cop? My little black book?
We'll settle for a red mask. The shakedown of Jones' apartment gave us nothing more to go on. He refused to talk, and under the law, we could go no further. We took him downtown to be booked. The guns we found in the girl's makeup kit were taken in the same 459 as the gun we took from Larry.
The makeup kit.
Hubert. We knew we had Jones for parole violation. We wanted him and the other 2 members of the gang for the red mask holdups. 9:15 p.m.
I got that migraine again. What time do we have lunch?
We didn't.
We didn't.
No.
You hungry?
I could eat.
Me too.
Maybe I ought to call Tuck.
Jones, P.O.?
Yeah.
Figure you can get him to talk?
Might be worth a try. 9:45 p.m. Bill picked up a sandwich and I went back to the squad room to wait for Al Tucker. He'd been
Now
working
listen to
late. I
what
filled him
Bill
in while
put
waited
on
in the
his
interrogation room with the suspect.
sandwich.
Parole officers are a special breed, half policeman, half social worker. They have to take the rejects of society and try to make decent citizens out of them. It's a tough job. Tougher because there's not enough of them to go around. Most ex-convicts have a lot of respect for their parole officers. They get close. They have to. Their parole officer has to approve almost everything. Where they live, where they work, what time they get home at night.
Excuse me? Again, I don't know which LM is working at the great beyond.
Jones was no exception.
I blew it, huh? All the way. You quit your job, you moved, you didn't check in. Here you are again. I thought you were squaring, Don.
I get bored with making tile.
What'd you have, 9 months, 10 months out of the joint?
Well, things were going sweet till these guys showed up.
You want to tell me about it?
In front of them, Tucker, I got the right to stay silent and stay silent.
Wait for me outside, Tuck.
Now, look, Don, this sort of an attitude isn't going to get you anywhere.
You want a bite?
No thanks.
You sure?
Sure.
Corned beef, imported Swiss, lettuce, Russian dressing, coleslaw, kosher pickle, slice of tomato, mayonnaise, peanut butter, horseradish, and a little hot mustard.
No thanks.
Sure now, it's an awful good sandwich.
Sounds like...
Now, do I need to keep playing? Because he says it one more time, and it's exactly the same as the first time. So I'm not quite sure why they say it twice.
Sounds like a 7-course meal.
Well, it's a little filling. You think?
Is that cleanup on aisle 7? Again, gets little... Excuse me. There must be a frog in my throat. I'm not quite sure.
You think he'll cop out to talk?
Save an awful lot of time if he does.
He'll talk to you now.
What'd you do, Tuck?
Nothing any other parole officer couldn't do.
What's that?
Well, Jones figures he's bound to go back to the joint one way or the other.
Yeah.
There's more than 200 different prison jobs they can hand him up there at Quentin. You remember him saying he didn't like making tile?
Yeah, I do.
Well, he told me he'd like to try metal work. I can recommend one job he gets. I told him I'd see what I could do. You know, Jones told me.
Metalwork, is that like, I don't know, at union workers, they have welding, metallurgy, they have smithing, blacksmith being whatever it was done in this area, which is not acceptable, not in 2010, not in 2015, and certainly not continuing into 2022, wasting my time completely. And we just rolled into 2023, and it's still a problem in the messy department.
Tell me something. I don't know if he'll mention it to you. It's not really important. Thought you might want it for your case.
What's that, Tuck?
What's about that kid, that teenager, Larry Hubert?
Oh, yeah, what about him?
Gonna be a father. Well, I missed dinner. Guess I better be getting on home.
Oh, don't rush off, Doc. I got half a sandwich.
Yeah? What's in it?
Oh, you'll love it. Corned beef, imported Swiss,
Good night, Bill.
lettuce,
I'll see.
Russian dressing, coleslaw, kosher pickle, a slice of tomato.
The story you have just seen is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On September 15th, trial was held in Department 180, Superior Court of the State of...
Oh, 180, hold up. In Star Wars terms, somewhere between 77 being The New Hope and 83 being Return of the Jedi. I believe I've already documented that 80 is The Empire Strikes Back. And just incidentally, there's 80 for Brady. Just came out as a movie in front of Avatar, the one with the one Tarzan reference, and the whales that somebody are hunting, which I don't, again, it seems like dangerous hunting whales. So, I mean, it's a large seafaring mammal, and they breathe air. Don't know what that's all about, but somewhere in the great nation I know exists, but I don't know where, seems like paramount and an important note at edification.
of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial. The suspects were found guilty on 2 counts of armed robbery. Robbery in the first degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state prison for not less than 5 years.
Should I mention while they're all like playing Empire Strikes Back and must be really tough to live like a quarterback. I'm still in the field and I'm the one who had the entire Jake Sully. Just so the way of water and cleanup on aisle 7 is really clear. Would have been really nice to stay chicken and rooster forever, like in Mexico, as in Cancun, and the person that I met at Senor Frogs. That would have been really nice. Don't know what happened. And incidentally, not the same person that piggybacked me and took me to MFA. That's the person I want to melt into. But I don't know what's going on with this football scene and then them switching out Cardinal DOLAN for some PELE, like the other football, the FUTBOL, as opposed to the FOOTBALL. And just so you know, on the door going into where Stevie is with his hip all fractured and on the mend was a soccer ball, whatever that might mean. I mean, signs and symbols being whatever they are. Now, I don't know if this is a reference to something in the 19th century, decade 8 reference of whatever the kids growing up didn't know, like what our future was going to look like. But I'm listening to a man with the last name Sun, S-U-N, and then it's a D, so Sund. Never heard of the man before, but I'm listening to him this morning.
For help. I was making every call I could, and people were coming. They're sending the cavalry. And that is what ultimately turned the tide.
But as rioters barreled in and breached the Senate chamber, Sund alleges he lost critical minutes with bureaucratic delays to get backup.
I then have to get on a call with the military at 2:34 p.m. and start begging and pleading for National Guard assistance.
Sund says he asked for more National Guard support days earlier, only to be stymied by congressionally appointed law enforcement officials.
Now, there's like this giant fight at the Empire, and one of the Stargate children, who are unlike all the rest, because of the very specific position for which she was birthed, and then the surrounding whatever that has unfolded. And this looks like a POV, and she looks like one of the trash cans everybody in the media are trying to shine up after they blackened and sullied her amongst their degraded and their capital. And by capital, I mean their money-making economy, and then using this pawn as something to prey upon and stymie and hurt even further. And their signs and symbols that they were up to something. I mean, like, there's anchors of reality to try to slow the amount of reverse impact or reverse thrust in, like, a physics project. I see that. Like, whoa, slow down. Right. Are they counterbalancing? Then why did the Stargate representative with the special child to be born in the future, for which brings balance into a geometric and a biometric calculation, that they just simply don't pick the other pieces for this position? Something else chose me, and I was born in for this position, but yet I'm being withheld from it. And I don't know what they're basing their reality off of any longer, and how they're actually keeping aerospace clean, clear, and defended while I'm being held in this position.
Adding to the problem, he says, was an alarming lack of coordination with other government agencies leading up to the attack.
I believe January 6th was treated differently than other major events in Washington, D.C. We've done post visits, we've done IMFs, and there's certain things that usually take place with briefings, intelligence bulletins, joint intelligence bulletins, that didn't happen this time. And
Why not?
I sit back and I wonder whether they just missed it. Was there a bias, or was it watered down purposely? There's a lot of people within the president's cabinet that was concerned he may try to...
Did he say watered down purposely? Way of water.
Invoke the Insurrection Act. And if he had enough intelligence saying that, Armageddon was coming, it would give him the ammunition he needs to invoke that act.
The January 6 House Select Committee said it found no evidence that the delay in sending the National Guard was intentional. The Inspector General who investigated the actions of Capitol Police officials surrounding January 6 cited multiple deficiencies, including failure to disseminate intelligence and prepare a comprehensive plan. This internal intelligence bulletin from Sund's own department just 3 days before.
Now, is there a parallel with what they're putting out in the attack that actually happened on my person around the 2000, somewhere between 2015 and 2017? I mean, I've had several layers of attacks, but the most increasingly concerning attacks happened, the first set, that I can actually pinpoint in the phase of the planet and the phase of our aero defense system for which I was attacked from or within. How do you report that? And to who?
Before the attack, warned armed protesters could come to Washington, but called detailed information limited.
As the chief of the United States Capitol Police, I have no problem with the buck stopping with me. I'll take my lumps wherever I deserve them. There's things I could have and should have done better.
I am calling for the resignation of the chief of the Capitol Police, Mr. Sund.
Forced out the day after the attack, Sund says he's not sure the problem is fixed.
January 2025. Should the United States be concerned?
I am very concerned that this could happen again.
But Sund says stopping that may take more than better barriers and planning.
Society as a whole, I think we are so divided. I think politicians on both sides need to start thinking about how words matter and start finding a way to heal this place.
In a statement ahead of Friday's anniversary, the Capitol Police has highlighted changes they have made since the attack. That includes hiring a new intelligence director and legislation that grants more authority to the Capitol Police Chief to declare an emergency or call in the National Guard. Adriana.
That sounds like a hallelujah. I mean, I don't know for sure, but... Now here's the second progressive commercial today, with an elevator reference. I thought that they did this one extremely well. It also has 12 up here.
To you, it may just be an elevator.
Here goes nothing.
But for a young homeowner becoming their parents, it's a learning opportunity.
Come on in. The more the merrier. Paris, huh?
Bonjour.
We got any out-of-towners in the elevator?
Tom, it is not easy.
10th floor, huh? Must be a heck of a view.
Okay, see how everyone else is facing this way?
Progressive can't save you from becoming your parents, but we can save you money when you bundle one auto with us.
Okay, that was terrible. Okay, let's hang back. We're going to try that again.
Purina One has the...
Oh, if only the elevator ride had a second chance. Now here I am looking at commercials, and it has this Nature Made vitamin brand, and then it goes directly into Allstate Insurance. So it went from Progressive Insurance to Allstate Insurance. At Architect and Oracle. Let's see what they put together to send me some kind of message for today.
I'm your glitchy Wi-Fi, and I've decided, well, if you're on vacation, I am too. The speed your smart home isn't so smart. And now I'm sending mixed signals.
Now, I'm pretty sure for the progressive kids that got an elevator ride, got to say bonjour, probably even went to Paris. They know where it is geographically. I mean, I've never been. I wasn't that blessed in this life frame. In fact, Linda and Lewis were asked. I had to hang back. Don't know why. Philanthropy being whatever it is. And I spent a lot of time with Judy. And so there's that. Now they've come out. You guys probably wouldn't know that there are very real disturbances within the aerodynamic force and force field. Even yesterday, as Linda was driving out from Queens on the same island, no bridges crossed, just on the big LIE or the big LIE 495 on the interstate numericals. She was just driving, and her phone did one of these special thingamajigs. No idea why. Like, I don't know if there's special code and special security. I'm sure there is for the rest of you that don't get sick from your electronic devices. But for where I've been held, it's not. I mean, the performance and behavior of the technology is not even predictable for me in whatever series of rooms I've been in. I have no way of checking on it either.
Signals to your garage. But if you haven't bundled your home in auto coverage, trying to unpack this isn't going to be too much fun. Hey, check the router. So get Allstate. Be better protected from mayhem while saving up to 25% when you bundle home and auto.
In a world where dry eye symptoms keep
Where I woke up this morning, this is what's still within the area as the highest flag that's flown, especially in Bayside Station. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.